Hi, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to start a series of holiday makeup looks, and in this first video I want to try out a blue-based winter wonderland look that will be perfect for your holiday gatherings, whether they be virtual or in person. If you would prefer more of a cooler toned look, a little bit icier, you love blue, or you just want to do something a little bit different, then hopefully this video will give you a little bit of inspiration. I'm going to be pulling products from a variety of brands, a lot of high-end, some indie, and I just want to have a little bit of fun. I don't have that many blue eyeshadows, so this is going to be a little bit tricky for me to pull something together, but I think the few that I have are really pretty, and I think they're just going to be a lot of fun. You can take blue many different ways. You can pair it with a lot of different things. You can do blue and purple, blue and silver, blue and champagne, blue and green. Lots of different options and ways you can go. I think I'm going to do something that is probably blue and silvery champagne-y, just to keep it really simple and not too over the top. So let's get into it. First, I want to start off with perfume as sort of to get us in the mood for this winter wonderland vibe. I thought about all the wintry, moody, darker sort of fragrances that I have, and I think those are going to go a little bit better with some of the other looks that I plan on doing, like greens and reds. I think I'm going to save those darker fragrances for those looks, but for the blue, I wanted to do something a little bit more light and very wearable. Some of you may disagree with this pick, but this is the Joan Malone Wood Sage and Sea Salt fragrance right here. There it is, and this one is a really light fragrance. Some people think it doesn't smell like anything. I think it does. It doesn't last long, but it is still really fresh, and you get a little bit of that like woodsy vibe, which reminds me of winter. So I don't know. I know it's kind of a stretch, but this is a more of a fresher fragrance that works really all year long. But I think it works for this time of year as well. I'll go ahead and spray it. Yeah, it's just a really clean fragrance. It's not going to upset too many people. If you have anybody in your family that hates perfume, if you just spray this on a couple hours before you meet up with people, I think it will fade enough where it won't be too much. So yeah, I think you'll be happy with that one. I'm just gonna tie my hair back, and we're gonna do a full winter holiday face. I have my earrings on, I have my tree in the background. We are ready to go. First of all, I want to start with a really nice complexion. And for me, when I think about holiday special events, holiday parties, I want my face to look even more perfected. This isn't necessarily going to be a very fast look. This is a look you're going to spend a little more time on, and make sure everything's nice and perfected as much as you want. I know for me, like any sort of party or special event, I take extra time, extra care. You definitely don't have to, especially if you're not going to be at the party for very long. Your longevity doesn't have to be that great, so you can definitely get away with just doing a really light layer and not worrying about it. But if you are going to be kind of spending many hours with your family or friends, I suggest like thinking about how long your look is going to last. So if you're doing a bold lip, are you okay reapplying throughout the party, or do you want to wear something more long-lasting? Things to think about. So in this video, I'm going to be kind of using some special occasion sort of makeup. In particular, I want to think about when I thought about like, okay, I'm gonna do a holiday look, I thought about my Airflash, Dior Airflash foundation. This is the shade 104. And I use this whenever I have a special occasion just because it gives a really flawless finish. So that's what I'm going to be using today. First, I'm going to use the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas Primer. This primer, you know, it's okay. It's very fragranced. I wouldn't buy it again because I don't think it is that magical. It's nice, but it's a pricey product. I think a lot of primers, of course, are a lot of money. But I mean, this one, it does a good job of smoothing. But I mean, it doesn't offer me like a lot of benefits. There's no sunscreen. I don't know. I'm not like dying for it. So I'm going to be spraying this onto my gloss palette. And this is the cleanest, best way to apply this foundation in my opinion. Just note that you may get a little bit of the spray on you, so just be aware when you're getting dressed. You might get a little overspray. So before I put this on my face, I'm gonna mix in a little bit of brightening serum from by Terry. This, I believe, is White Rose. It's just the white one, and this kind of their glow serum. Just gonna put a little bit of a drop in there, and this is a very pearly serum. You can either mix it in with your foundation or put it on with your fingers wherever you want to highlight. I really like it. I wish it didn't smell quite so much of rose because it's very strong. But I think the finish of the serums are really pretty and natural looking. And I think the white color really goes with our kind of cool toned blue theme. But I just bounced this on. You can spray it directly on your face. I don't recommend it. So I've already pretty much used all of the foundation on my palette pretty quickly. You can definitely go in with another layer. Probably most of you would, but because I'm just doing this for filming, I'm gonna do a light layer. But if you know you're gonna be at this party or event for several hours, probably a good idea to go in with another layer, just because you might have a little bit of sweat, might be too hot in there, might break down your foundation just a little bit. So you can go ahead and blend that down. And the finish is just so easy and so flawless. Alright, next I'm going to go in with my concealer. I'm using the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. And this is... the shade wore off. But this is a cool toned light shade. And it's not like super full coverage, but it's really easy to blend out. And I really like it for those reasons. I'm just going to use my mini beauty blender to blend this out. You know, you don't have to like do anything different for your complexion if you don't want to. Some people just like a little extra insurance because they want to be busy, you know, talking and hanging out and having fun rather than like making a couple trips to the bathroom to touch up and make sure everything's okay. So, you know, sometimes it's good to just go a little bit outside of your comfort zone in terms of your foundation routine. You might want to make sure you apply primer and powder and make sure everything's set before you go ahead and move on, just to give that little bit extra longevity boost. You know, I know some of us don't apply powder or setting powder. You just kind of put it on and go. But when we don't do that, sometimes things can wear off a little faster. Now we have our concealer. I just want to use a little bit of a brightening pen underneath my eye as well. Sicily Stilo Lumiere in number 1, and it's a little brightening click pen. that I have been using lately, and it's slightly kind of peachy toned. And you just need like a little bit, and I use my fingers to blend it in usually, but you can definitely bounce in a little bit. Not sure that made a whole bit much of a difference. You could use this instead of a concealer underneath your eyes if you wish. Alright, before I move on to powder, I want to do a little bit of gel bronzer. This is from Chantecaille. They only have one color in the gel bronzer. I just picked this one up in their sale. This is what it looks like, and this is a product you just kind of tap in, and it looks kind of like a funny color to me, but I think it works to give you a little bit of warmth, and you could even apply less than what I just did. A little really goes a long way to brighten up the face. If you're truly going for an icy look, you could probably get away with no bronzer, but I like a little bit of definition. For me, bronzer kind of works as contour for me as well, and just makes my features stand out a little more. But you certainly don't have to do bronzer in the winter. The pale look is also real pretty. Okay, so I have a little bit of warmth now, not too much. Now I want to go in with my powder. I'm going to be using a couple different finishing powders. You don't have to go this route. You could use whatever powder you want to set, but I want something really lightweight. So I'm going to go in with the Meteorites color correcting powder first. There we go. This is in the shade Clair Light, the Meteorites Compact. And I'm just going to go in, swirl this around, and hit up my T-zone. Just brighten things up just a little bit, just give it a little bit of sheen on the cheeks as well. And that's it, just a couple swipes. And then I'm going to go in with the Chantecaille Blur Powder. This is the Perfect Blur Finishing Powder, the Hummingbird one. And I'm going to just buff in and kind of use this to set, even though it's a finishing powder. Just because I want it to be not too heavy, really lightweight. I don't imagine my makeup's going to be moving around and heating up too much, so just a really light finish is what I want. And then blush. So I have a lot of blush options, but I wanted something a little cooler and more pink, so I'm going to be using the Jill Stuart Bloom Bouquet, and this is number 2, Baby Lilac. And it looks a little intimidating, but I think it's really pretty. Gotta go in with a light hand. But they have a lot of different shades, color families to choose from. I just don't want something too peachy with the blue eyeshadow or too warm. I'm going to do a lot of pinks today to go with my blue. So I kind of want to stay in that family, and I probably overdid it there. But I can always buff out. Just a little bit of glow. And then for highlighter, I want to use a pink toned highlighter. So I'm using the Dior Nude Luminizer Diorskin, and this is number 2, the pink toned one. And this is a really pretty flattering shade if you have a fair skin toned, but it's definitely runs pink. So like a light frosted pink. But I am a fan of that. I know some people run away from pink. It's not your thing. I totally get it. You could also just do a really light champagne, more of a frosty, icy, silvery shade as a highlighter when doing blues. I think that's always really pretty. Brows really quick. I'm using the Chantecaille Ash Blonde waterproof brow definer. Now for special occasions, you know, you don't have to do really anything different for your brows, but I usually have been using a brow gel, which is not like super defined. So when I'm using a pencil, I'm creating more of a defined shape. So I'm changing the look of my brow a little bit more than, say, it would normally look. It'd be less like pointy and a little more relaxed. But with this holiday look, I want it to be special. And I'm gonna brush it out with a little comb. Just a little bit more defined of a brow. Next, I have my eye primer. And depending on what you're using, you may not necessarily need it, but if you're gonna be out partying, dancing, having a good time for several hours, and you are using a more colorful eyeshadow or it has glitter or texture, you may want to think about using a primer on a night like this, where you're getting ready for a little bit of a party. An eye primer may make a lot of sense. I don't always use an eye primer, but when I am planning out a little more of a fun look that has to last, I do a primer. Now this one only comes in one shade. This isn't like my favorite primer, but it's pretty cost effective. A little goes a long way. You could always use foundation if you prefer that route. Let's get into our eyeshadow finally. So I have a few options here. I have the Pat McGrath, I believe this is Subliminal number 1. And this is the cool blue tone. This is the cool toned palette with the pop of blue and a lot of gray, cool browns, and a shimmery bluish kind of pink hair, which is wonderful. So I think this is going to be probably the top candidate that I'm going to be using on my eyes. But there is another Pat palette with some bluish purple, and I believe this is the number 2 or 3, one of those. So there's this bluish purple, but another like pinky sort of shade that would go well with blue as well, and a magenta. Lots of different options when it comes to the holidays. You can go very traditional, smoky with some shimmery champagne colors. You could go very grungy, a little bit more gray and black and taupe. You can do very traditional like greens and reds and blues like I'm gonna be doing. Lots of different ways to go. You could go very gold. There's just so many options, and I could do so many videos with this concept. I also have a matte blue from Lethal. I don't know the name of this, but this came in the After Dark palette. Very pretty shade. I don't know if I'll be using it with the blues that I have in the Pat McGrath palettes. I also have a pretty silvery shade from Lethal, same palette. And then this is an old single shadow from NARS. This is Callisto, and this is their dual intensity eyeshadow. I don't know if they still make these, but it's kind of a, I don't know, purpley, barely, very shiny, silvery shade. I might go with some of these. I might have some other random blues, maybe with some other palettes, but this is the ones that really came to mind. I don't have that many blues to choose from. So this is definitely a little bit more of a challenge for me to come up with a holiday look with blue eyeshadow. But I remember when I tried this Pat palette, I was very impressed with this blue and loved it, even though I don't like blue. And I know some of you probably picked up the Wayne Goss or are thinking about picking up the Wayne Goss with the blue eyeshadow. That's another option. It looks really pretty. I don't know that I need it because I have the Pat McGrath palettes with these gorgeous sort of party shades going on. In terms of like starting out this look, I want to take it easy at first, so I think I'm just gonna go into Mothership 1 and start out probably with these shades here and see where they take us, just to create a little bit of shape. Now to start out, you could definitely like go purple and mix it with the blue and do that sort of look. But when I think about a winter wonderland and these sort of like holiday shades, I don't think of purple. But you can do whatever you want. I mean, purple can be icy, like really, really cold blue can be run very purple and royal blue. So you can definitely take it there. Alright, I want to take this sort of light bone shimmery shade here and put it on my brow bone. So this runs a little bit gold. And less icy. So I'm going to use this lethal shade on top because it's a little bit more of the tone I'm looking for. Very icy. This is out of the box for me, very different than what I would normally do. I used to be all about the brow bone. For me, I'm doing less and less of the brow bone for a while now, many years now. But it's always fun to bring it back. Just a little bit of brightness. The only thing with these sort of shimmery shades on the brow bone, if they kind of shift to sort of a gray shade when you're not in the light, they can kind of bring your eye down. So you want to make sure they're really light even in the shadow. Otherwise you're gonna take away from that effect that you want, which is kind of a lift. Okay, so before I go any further, I want to swatch my blues that I'm looking at for you guys. And I want to start out with this dark blue here. So pretty. So this one has some smokiness behind it. You can see that sort of black grittiness behind that blue that really makes it pop. So I need to be careful about where I place it and how much I use. I also have this kind of pinky special shade that has some blue in it. Super pretty. I could put this on top of the blue. And then another special shade, very white, bluish shade as well. That really pretty blue topper is another option. So really pretty things going on there. And in the other Pat McGrath palette, this purpley pink glittery shade, a little bit more purple looking, a little more grungy. Definitely in this sort of family. But when I look at this shade, it's pretty, but it doesn't scream like winter to me. There is a pinky topper that might be pretty with the blues. Can't see that one too well on me. You can see that there, and then a very pink topper shade. There we have the two pat palettes that I was thinking of when I was coming up with ideas for this look. I don't know. Just for fun, I want to do the lethal swatches. So this is the matte blue I was showing you, so you could definitely go in more of this direction rather than a darker direction. This is the shade I have on my brow bone right now. Very pretty. And this is that single shadow from NARS that I also thought of when I was thinking about this look. Definitely more of a pinky, shiny shade. But this is all very cool toned except for a couple of the ones on here a little warmer. Alright, so I think what I want to do is use the Subliminal palette. These three shades are really calling to me. And I think especially if you're doing something in the nighttime, cooler, darker tones make a little bit more sense. But you should of course adjust according to how casual, the location, is it going to be online? I definitely think you should put in effort if you're going to be on an online party, but you probably don't have to go this far thinking about it too much, because depending on your camera quality, people may not see it all that well. Which is really sad, but at least has been true for me on Zoom meetings, is that I do my makeup and then they're like, you can see some features, but I don't know, not everything is super detailed. So I'm gonna go straight in with this blue, and we're gonna be very careful to not overdo it. Alright guys, I have the blue down on underneath my eyes and on my lid. I want to do a little bit more on the crease. So I'm going to go in with those taupe, kind of cooler shades just a little bit more, just to have a little more of a contrast. And if you wanted to be really fancy, you could do a cut crease here. You could do more of a contrasting shade against the blue. This is just gonna look a little bit more smoky with the like cooler browns against the blue. And to me, it just kind of harshens that blue eyeshadow effect that a lot of people don't like. Like, blue's fine, it just can be like a very polarizing shade for a lot of people. And I'm one of those people that it's just kind of stayed away from blues. But I know they're really pretty. I don't know, I'm afraid of them. I think they're just one of the more intimidating shades, because I think we just think about, oh, they look clownish, they're over the top, they're just too much. So now that we've smoked that out a little bit more, I want to do a topper shade, and I'm going to go in with this pinkyish topper shade here. And you can make this blue pop a little bit more with applying the shadow with a finger. But I know I'm just going to put this topper shade on top already. So I don't feel the need to do that, but you certainly could. Now, these topper shades have fallout for sure. So sometimes you might want to do your eye makeup first. But this is a pretty topper and it tones down the blue just a little bit, but also gives it that nice holiday sparkle. And on the inner corner, I just want to do a little bit of this white topper shade on the inner corner. Okay, so that really gives you that blue, that pop. And it's really concentrated in one spot. You could definitely do less of the inner corner that I did. This is very blue now. I do want to do a little bit of eyeliner, and you can certainly use a powder black eyeshadow and just kind of make it look really natural, but I just want to quickly put on some brown pencil liner from Mcgrath just on the upper lash line. Now this is a bit of a more moody look. Just gonna put on some mascara, but I enjoy these blue and smoky brown tones. I think they're a really nice pairing. I think a lot of people do blue and gray or black and gray, but I think a deep brown or a grayish brown works really nicely and gives you that smoky effect without going too dark to where you look like you have a black eye. And as I said, you could go a more purple route and do some cooler purple shades along your crease instead to give a nice contrast to the blue, something a little bit different. And if you wanted to like take this down a notch, you could really just use the blue as an eyeliner and keep your lid very sparkly. Or you can make it really simple and just have the eyeliner, the blue eyeliner sort of stand out, and it's just a little bit tighter of a look, and the blue's just a lot more concentrated. Now for the lips, you could definitely go nude here, and I think that's probably what most people would do. But I really want to use the Velvet Beauty from Eldridge, which is a deeper shade on me. So I'm going to be using the Velvet Beauty lip liner. And this is definitely a party look, so deeper eyes, deeper lips. Now with a blue eyeshadow, you may want to take it easy on the lips because you don't want that like blue eyeshadow, red lip cliche what a lot of people hate, but you know, they're in the same sort of cooler toned family. I mean, red is warm, but I think this is a interesting red that is not gonna look too bad, hopefully. Because it's not like bright red. I don't really wear bright red. This is more of a wine brick red. My lips are falling apart. See, I don't think this shade looks bad, but you may get some judgment. You may get some looks with this combination, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the look. I think you could work it for sure. It's a little bit, you know, Miss America, red, white, and blue, that whole 4th of July thing. But I think if you took away that inner corner blue and just left the blue shade, I think it would look a little more sophisticated, and maybe go with this lipstick a little better. But those are just my thoughts. Top it off with a little bit of the Velvet Beauty gloss to freshen it up a little bit. I do have dry lips, so the lip gloss makes it a little bit more forgiving. Alright, this is the final look. I really love the Mcgrath Subliminal palette. It is really pretty. I don't get a lot of chances to use it, just because this Pop of Blue isn't my everyday color, but I think it is pretty for winter and parties and get-togethers, and I think a lot of people will enjoy this look for that icy winter wonderland type of vibe. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, concerns. Please comment below, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.